All right. Hey. We are live today. Today is day 21 of day 30. Listen, we are almost there. We have 9 more days of going live for going out on a limb and doing this 30-day challenge of talking about dating and before you start dating once again in 2025 and how we are no longer doing all of the unnecessary shenanigans that we did in 2024, 2023, 2022, and previously. If you want to attract better, then lo and behold, I know you may not be thinking this, but you have to become better if you want to attract better. See, you can't go out there in this dating world and think that you're going to attract something that you are not. And or even if you attract that thing, even if you attract your person, you will not be able to keep your person if you have not started to work on yourself and started to become the woman that you truly want the world to see. If you haven't started to showcase you openly, honestly, your vulnerability, right? If you have not done any of that, then this is why I started talking about this How to Become a Better Dater series. Now, if you have missed any of the topics for these 21 days, then guess what? I have a playlist, especially if you are listening to this on the replay. And if you are, shout out to me on the replay, hashtag replay in the comments if you are watching. If you are coming in, then welcome. So with that being said, today's topic is talking all about assertiveness, how you can state the things that you want, the things that you need, the things that you desire without being aggressive. This is about how to communicate your needs kindly yet firmly. You need to be able to speak up for the things that you want, the things that you need, the things that you desire. Because if you don't, if you go in and you just trying to have a conversation, but you don't have a clear direction about the conversation that you want to have, then it is going to fall short. It's going to fall by the wayside. And your partner may find that, or you may feel that your partner is kind of looking like a deer in headlights, wondering what the heck you are actually talking about, what it is that you're trying to convey. And so you don't want to make him feel like you are he is a deer in headlights. You want to already know what it is that you want to convey before you have the conversation. But knowing that you need to be able to communicate your needs openly, honestly, but you don't have to be a jerk to do that. Okay, you don't, but you do need to make sure that you know what it is that you are going to speak about. And specifically as Black women, the journey to effective communication often feels like walking a tight rope. On one side, there's the need to ensure your voice is heard and your perspective is respected. But on the other hand, there's the fear of being misinterpreted as combative, overly emotional, or even being dismissive or dismissed. The balancing act can leave you feeling silenced or even exhausted, constantly weighing every word and tone. The good news is that assertiveness, when it's anchored in kindness and self respect, offers a way off of this tight rope. Assertiveness is not about dominating a situation or a conversation or even proving a point. That's not what it's about. But it is about expressing your needs, your feelings, and of course, the good old B word, boundaries, in a way that values both yourself and the person that you are speaking to. So you want them to feel value, but you also want to feel value yourself when you are conveying what you're trying to say. It is a complete blend of clarity and compassion, firm enough to honor your truth, but gentle enough to foster a connection. This balance is not just a skill. It's not just a skill, it's a mindset. It's an understanding that you do not have to choose between being heard and being kind. It's not either or, it's and. You can be both. You can be kind, but you can also feel like you are being heard. So now, who am I and why should you even listen to me? Well, I am Marshawn Olanio, and I serve professional Black women and helping them to show up differently in all of their relationships using tailored strategies depending on where they are at when they come to me, so they can cultivate beautiful, healthy, loving relationships. And I say relationships because most people, when they think about a coach, specifically when it comes in the realm of relationship, they often think about romantic relationships first and foremost. Well, I do help with that as well. However, the most important relationship that we talk about is the relationship that you have with yourself. Most of us have not cultivated a beautiful, loving relationship with ourselves. And when we have not done the work of cultivating a beautiful, loving relationship with ourselves, then guess what? That seeps over into your other relationships. So you don't have a beautiful, loving relationship with yourself. You probably do not have a beautiful, loving relationship with your partner. If you are in a dating relationship or if you're in a long-term relationship, there is some imbalance in that relationship. There are some struggles that is in that relationship, maybe even some toxicity. There are some habits and behaviors that need to shift and change. That is the area in which I focus on. I'm getting down to the root cause as to why you keep showing up the way that you are showing up. I'm getting down to the root cause as to why you feel that you have to be combative when you're trying to convey a point. I'm getting down to the root cause as to why secretly you do not love yourself. That is how I coach. And that is some heavy work. It is being very introspective. It is also being aware of who you are and how you're showing up. But even though it's heavy work, it is necessary work. It is the thing. It is literally the foundation in which you're setting yourself up to succeed so you can attract a better mate. By you understanding you on a deeper level, then you're able to showcase and show up and show yourself to somebody else on a deeper level. So they feel connected to you. So you do feel heard. You do feel seen. And when you do get out of pocket, because life be lifing, and sometimes those old habits and behaviors are going to come to the surface. When that happens, the person that you're dating, the person that you're potentially going to take it to the long haul with, will have a better understanding of you. And guess what? Let's be real. They will have a tendency to let you off the hook even more because you have been vulnerable. You have been open. You have communicated your needs openly and honestly. You have also showcased and or openly shared the fact that you are not perfect. And you have listed 1, 2, 3 of your flaws, especially when they come to the surface. You have learned to apologize, right? So all of these things come into place when you're talking about cultivating a beautiful, healthy, loving relationship. Because the truth of the matter is, most of us didn't learn these things in the house. Most of us didn't learn these things, which is why we feel that we need to be toxic in order to be heard, which is why we feel that we have to dumb down or silence ourselves and and not be seen in the room, instead of sitting up, sitting tall, saying what you need to say. This is not only in the boardroom, this is also in your relationship. Because most times, not 100%, but most times, how we show up and do one thing in one area of our life is how we show up and do that thing in other areas of our life. So if you are not non combative, silent, hardly ever get your point across in your relationship, you probably do the exact same thing when it's time to speak up or when they're asking for opinions at your job or on your career, right? Or it could be the very opposite. If you're very combative and you're always needing to talk up, or you always feel like you have to be the loudest person in the room, a lot of that, which people don't understand, is your insecurities coming to the surface. Because maybe, and this is where I come in, the root cause to why you're doing that stuff. Maybe when you were a child, you were told to be quiet. You were told that a child is seen and not heard, right? And so because of some of that programming that took place in your childhood, it's coming out in adulthood in a negative way. Sometimes you need it to protect you, but in your romantic relationship, it's hindering you from making that deeper connection. So you have to be mindful of all of these things when you are thinking about dating. You have to work on you. So this is another topic of today, which is being assertive without being aggressive. How to communicate your needs kindly yet firmly. So how can you start to do this? One of the first things is recognizing the power of I statements. Using I statements shifts the focus from blaming others to expressing your feelings and needs. So instead of you saying, you never listen to me, you could say, I feel unheard when I share my thoughts, or I feel unheard when I try to share my thoughts and you keep scrolling on your phone, not giving me your undivided attention. This approach reduces defensiveness and encourages an open dialogue. See, when you're using I statements, you're not shaming, you're not blaming, you're not making the other person feel guilty, but you are stating the facts. You're saying, I feel a certain way. In this case, I feel that I'm not seen or heard. When you, the other person, is scrolling on your phone. See, that's a fact. I feel this way is a fact for you. And you're saying, I see you scrolling on your phone when I'm trying to have a conversation with you. That is a fact. That is not you blaming or shaming them. It is a fact. And so what I coach my clients on is, if you stick with the facts when you're trying to have these difficult conversations, the other person will, the defensiveness will seem to dissipate. The defensiveness will seem to dissipate. It doesn't mean that they're never going to get defensive, but if you stick with saying the facts, then you have a better chance of the other person leaning in and now you're starting to have an open dialogue. So when you're doing this, concentrate on I statements. I, you, me, you. I statements. I feel this when you do this. I feel this when you do this. Not guilting, shaming, or blaming them, just stating the facts as you see them. The second way that you can start to be assertive without aggression is to use your body language and tone of voice effectively. Your tone and posture are powerful nonverbal tools that can enhance your underlying message. A steady, calm tone communicates that you are confident, while eye contact shows that you are assertive and sincere in what you're saying. And pairing these with the open body language, meaning your arms are open, they're not folded. They're not folded. So this is closed off body language. You want your arms to be open, right? You can lean in versus closed arms and leaning back, because you don't really care what they're saying. You don't care to even be there, right? So open body language, leaning in, asking open-ended questions. And so you want to also, some other things that you can do is you can relax your shoulders, as I just mentioned, uncrossing those arms. All of this, it sets a foundation and an environment of approachability as well as mutual respect. You're not being defensive. You're not being angry, but you are stating exactly the thing that you don't like in this moment, or the thing that has been repeated time and time again that you don't like. So these subtle cues not only reinforce your words, but they also help you to feel more at ease about what it is that you're trying to say. You don't have to scream and shout to get your point across. And did you actually know, and I forgot where I heard this from, but the people that get heard the most often have the softest voice. And one of the reasons is why a lot of people lean in and listen is because they can't really hear. So sometimes when somebody's really trying to get your attention, they might talk like I'm speaking right now, very, very low. And it's forcing you to lean in and kind of do the without saying but it's forcing you to really lean in and concentrate on what it is that they're saying. The loudest person in the room usually is the most insecure person. Oops. The person that needs to be in the spotlight all the time usually showcases a lot more of their insecurity than they think that they do. So sis, if that's you, I highly encourage you not to be the loudest person in the room. It actually shows more of your insecurity versus you being a secure person. So your use of body language and your tone of voice matters when you're trying to assert yourself without being aggressive. Another thing, which is the third thing, is to be comfortable with silence. Whenever there is a moment where silence is interjected, don't feel that you have to say something in that moment. You do not have to say or feel the silence all the time, because sometimes silence is a tool. After expressing your point, pause and give the other person space to process. I like this. Silence is a tool. Most people think of it as like it's awkward. No, it's not awkward. You have now expressed the thing that has been annoying you. You need to now give your partner a chance to assess, to process what you just said. So being quiet after you've made your point is giving them an opportunity to think and come up with an informed response versus you reacting because they're being quiet. And I actually get this from some of my clients sometimes. Like they're just sitting there looking stupid and being quiet. You got to give them a chance to process what you just said. And maybe they do have a look on their face that you deem to be a little silly. I'm not going to say stupid, I'm going to say silly, right? But maybe, just maybe in that moment, they're trying to process the point that you just made to him. Just let them process. So use silence as a tool. You don't have to feel the space all the time. Resist the urge to feel the silence with over explaining or justifying your position. You don't have to. You don't have to. The fourth thing is to focus on the issue, not the person. When addressing a concern, separate the behavior from the individual. So, for example, instead of saying you're always inconsiderate, say something like, when you run late without giving me notice, it's hard for me to plan my day, right? That might be oversimplified, but it still renders the point that you don't have to say mean and ugly things in order to try to get your point across. If you think about and express um, thoughtful responses versus just reacting because you are ticked off, you also need time to calm down so you get yourself centered, so you don't just say anything that pops off and then now you have to go back and apologize for the ugly thing that you said as well as the other thing that you were trying to talk about. So you got to sometimes put yourself on pause. That is the maturity. That is what mature people do in a healthy relationship. They take time to pause. They think before they speak. They don't just act like a child and just say whatever comes off the top of their head, because they know that words really do hurt, even though the old saying, you words will never hurt me. That's absolutely not true. They can hurt, and they can hurt deeply. And once they're put out into the ether and into your significant other's ears, they cannot and never will be able to unhear those things that you said, especially when they were not said in love, especially when you was trying to prove a point and be ugly. They're going to remember that. And a part of you being that way can now start the distance, and literally, lo and behold, the separation is not too far behind that, because at some point you're going to think that you're doing the right thing, not realizing that you are creating the distance between the two of you, and you're breaking down the connection between the two of you, right? So you have to be willing to bite your tongue so you can form a response versus you being reactive because you just want to say whatever. You want to hurt their feelings, not realizing that you are killing the overall relationship. So you won right now, right? What is that saying? You won the battle, but you didn't win the war. You won that one argument, but you just destroyed the entire relationship. So you have to be mindful of when you want to be assertive, that you're not being aggressive or just being downright mean and ugly in that moment, because it's more than just the moment. We're talking about bigger picture here. And if you want more, If you want to keep the relationship, if they're worth fighting for, then you know you don't have to be aggressive when you are saying exactly what needs to be said. The fifth thing is to prepare. Prepare for the conversation. And that probably what should have been the number one, but these are not in any particular order. However, all of them play a part in you showing up, showcasing what you need to say assertively without being aggressive. Preparation is the key for you not to be aggressive. Preparation keeps you in alignment and not allowing the conversation to derail at some point. Preparation is going to hold yourself accountable. So maybe you just need to sit down and plan what it is that you want to say. Talk about the top three things, the top five things that are irritating you. So plan your key points, right? In advance so you can stay focused and be able to articulate whatever it is that you're trying to convey out of the conversation. So for instance, if you're addressing a reoccurring issue, you can start with something like, I've noticed whatever the issue is. Can we discuss how to move forward with this? Right? So this opens the floor for collaboration rather than confrontation. And I like this because one of the things that when I'm speaking with my clients about having difficult conversations is not to only go and just complain. I'm never saying not to state your complaint. You absolutely should state your complaint. But if you're stopping at just stating your complaint, you're not helping the issue to be resolved. What I like to coach my clients on is to take the complaint to your partner, but right behind that complaint, that is the thing that the two of you are going to do. That's not what's going to happen. That's not what's going to happen. However, what it's going to do is to help the door to be open for the conversation to go better. So a resolution can actually happen. Right? So you understanding that just because you bring a solution there, it does not mean that he's going to go along with said solution. But it does open up the door for the two of you to now converse. He's like, no, I don't really like that. And so now you're like, okay, so what would you suggest? And then you guys can ping pong with the conversation so you can come to a happy medium. And also understanding that sometimes tough conversations need to be tabled for a minute. So both of you and or one party needs to think even deeper about the topic at hand. So don't be surprised if they want to table it for now and come back to it at a later time, whether it's in a few hours, a day or two, whatever, knowing that the conversation will be had. It's just not going to be completed today. So this is how we show up and be assertive without being aggressive. You have to prepare for the conversation, as I just mentioned, right? You have to use powerful I statements. I feel this way when you do this, right? Watching your body language and your tone of voice, right? Being open, being clear, articulating what it is that you don't like as well as the things that you do need, right? Being comfortable with the silence, especially after you have voiced your complaint or the issue at hand, and then focusing on the issue, not the person. So you don't want to be ugly and mean about the person, and then it goes downhill. You want to focus on the issue at hand. So with that being said, I want you to think about this and take some action, right? Because it doesn't matter if you have the information if you're doing nothing with it. For those of you who have been journaling about this, here is your journal prompt for today. So each interaction is an opportunity to practice assertive communication. Start integrating these strategies into your personal and your professional life. This you can actually do with both. So pick one talking point each day, if possible, and apply it to real life scenarios. So, some of the things that like I said, if it's a reoccurring conversation, or maybe there's several topics that have been reoccurring, you want to go and actually have the conversation with your partner. If this is a coworker or something that you need to have this with, you can also do that with them. But try to handle as many of these talking points. And like I said, as you are going to complain, take a solution. So for every problem that you write down, I want you to write down what you believe a good solution would be, so this can be rectified and never brought up in your relationship again. Maybe you have two, right? But have the complaint as well as the solution, so this things can be rectified, as I just mentioned. So with that being said, I am Marshawn Alani. I'm super excited that you guys decided to come here this evening, or whenever you're deciding to watch this, and share this message. But somebody that needs to hear it, you can share it on all of the social media platforms, and I will see you guys on the next live stream. All right, I'll see you then. Bye now.